The day has found its end. Your body has discovered that perfect position, perhaps on your side, with one arm tucked beneath the pillow, or maybe on your back, feeling the gentle weight of blankets settling around you like a soft embrace. The world outside your bedroom has grown quieter, and the urgent thoughts of the day are beginning to soften at their edges. Your breathing deepens, almost without your noticing. Each exhale carries with it a little more of the day's tension, each inhale bringing you closer to that mysterious threshold between wakefulness and sleep. You're floating now, in that dreamy space where thoughts begin to blur into something more fluid, more gentle. And then, a tiny lightning bolt, a sudden brief spark that ripples through your leg or perhaps your arm. Maybe your whole body gives a small jolt, as if you've just caught yourself from stumbling on an invisible step. Your eyes flutter open for a moment, and there's a question in the darkness. What was that? That small, startling signal has a name. It's called a hypnic jerk, and tonight, as we explore its story together, you'll discover that you are far from alone in this curious experience. In fact, you're part of a vast, invisible community. Millions of people around the world who share this same gentle mystery each night. But there's something beautiful about this moment, something worth understanding. Because when we learn about the hypnic jerk, we're really learning about one of the most exquisite processes your body performs, the delicate art of falling asleep. Have you ever felt that sudden drop, just as the world begins to fade? That sensation of free falling, of missing a step in the dark, or perhaps of slipping from the edge of something safe into something unknown. You might have gasped softly, felt your heart skip a beat, or noticed how your muscles tensed as if to catch yourself from a fall that existed only in the space between sleeping and waking. If so, you're experiencing something that touches the lives of most human beings. Research tells us that between 60 and 70% of people experience hypnic jerks at some point in their lives. Think about that for a moment. In a room of 10 people, 6 or 7 would nod in recognition at this description. Some experience them regularly, perhaps a gentle reminder every few nights. Others encounter them only occasionally, like unexpected visitors in the night. What's remarkable is how consistent these experiences are across different people, different cultures, different walks of life. A stressed executive in Tokyo might feel the same sudden jolt as a farmer in Kansas, a college student in São Paulo, or a grandmother tucking herself in for the night in Prague. The sensation transcends geography, age, and circumstance, a quiet thread woven through the fabric of human sleep. Yet despite how common they are, many people assume they're alone in this experience. There's something intimate about that moment when your body twitches as you're drifting off, something that feels uniquely personal. Perhaps that's why, when people first learn that hypnic jerks are nearly universal, there's often a sense of relief, even wonder. You mean other people feel this too? The answer is a resounding yes. And throughout history, cultures around the world have found their own ways to name and understand this phenomenon. Languages and cultures have woven their own stories around these mysterious twitches, each adding a thread to our collective understanding. In English, we call them hypnic jerks, hypnagogic jerks, or sleep starts, so names that capture the moment of transition, the threshold between day and night consciousness. The medical term myoclonus places them in the broader family of muscle contractions. But even this clinical word has poetry in it. From the Greek mys, meaning muscle, and klonus, meaning tumult or turmoil. In other languages, the names carry their own gentle poetry. French speakers know them as sursaut hypnique, a hypnic startle. Spanish has espasmo hipnagógico, emphasizing the dreamy state in which they occur. Each name is like a small cultural fingerprint, showing how different societies have noticed and made sense of this shared human experience. But perhaps more fascinating than the names are the stories. In some Caribbean traditions influenced by African heritage, these nighttime twitches are viewed as moments when protective spirits adjust your position in the dream world, ensuring you're safe and comfortable as you sleep. It's a beautiful interpretation. Imagine benevolent ancestors gently rearranging your spiritual blankets as you rest. Tibetan Buddhist tradition has sometimes seen these moments as doorways, brief openings when the mind hovers between worlds, offering glimpses into deeper states of consciousness. Some practitioners view them as opportunities for dream yoga, moments when awareness can be cultivated even at the edge of sleep. Even our folklore carries echoes of understanding. The evolutionary theory that hypnic jerks might be remnants from our tree-dwelling ancestors, a reflex to prevent falling from high places, has found its way into stories across cultures. It suggests that these little jolts carry within them the memory of ancient nights, when our ancestors slept in the branches and needed to catch themselves should they slip. What's touching about all these interpretations is that they share a common thread. They recognize hypnic jerks as part of the human experience, something to be understood rather than feared. As we settle deeper into this exploration together, let's anchor ourselves in a fundamental truth. Hypnic jerks are completely, utterly, beautifully normal. They are not a sign that something is wrong with you, not an indication of illness or imbalance. They are simply one of the ways your magnificent, complex body navigates the transition from the busy alertness of day to the restorative quiet of night. Medical professionals, from sleep specialists to neurologists, view hypnic jerks with gentle familiarity. They're listed in medical textbooks not as disorders to be treated, but as normal variants in human sleep patterns. The American Academy of Sleep Medicine considers them benign, harmless, and notes that they typically require no treatment whatsoever. They're as natural as yawning when you're tired or shivering when you're cold. This normalcy extends across the human lifespan. Children experience them, though often so subtly that parents never notice. Young adults might find them more pronounced, especially during periods of stress or change. Middle-aged individuals may notice them shifting in character, perhaps becoming gentler or less frequent. And older adults often report that they've learned to regard them as familiar companions, like old friends who occasionally visit in the night. What's particularly reassuring is that hypnic jerks don't progress into something more serious. They don't get worse over time in any predictable pattern. They don't indicate developing neurological conditions. They're not stepping stones to seizures or other movement disorders. They simply are what they are. Brief, harmless moments when your nervous system makes a tiny adjustment as it guides you towards sleep. Historical mentions scattered through literature and medical writings remind us that humans have been experiencing these sleep-edge twitches for as long as we've been recording our observations about the body. Ancient physicians noted them, medieval healers acknowledged them, and modern science has simply given us the tools to understand them more completely. As we continue this gentle journey together, we're going to explore what happens during a hypnic jerk, not as a malfunction, but as one of your body's most elegant features. Like watching a master craftsperson at work, we'll observe how your brain performs the intricate dance of sleep onset. Understanding breeds acceptance. When you know that your hypnic jerk is your nervous system doing exactly what millions of other nervous systems do, it becomes easier to greet these moments with curiosity rather than concern. You might find yourself observing them with the gentle interest of a naturalist watching a fascinating phenomenon. In the quiet moments ahead, we'll journey through the landscape of sleep onset, discovering how your brain transfers control from alertness to restoration. You'll learn about the reticular formation, a network in your brainstem that orchestrates the symphony of sleep, and why motor neurons occasionally send unexpected signals as they settle into nighttime quiet. We'll explore why the falling sensation is so common and why these experiences vary so much. But we won't stop at science. We'll also discover practical wisdom for greeting hypnic jerks with acceptance rather than alarm. Throughout this exploration, we'll maintain one understanding: you are witnessing something profoundly normal, beautifully human, and utterly harmless. Now let's gently illuminate the mystery we've been approaching. A hypnic jerk is quite simply a brief, sudden muscle contraction that occurs as your body transitions from wakefulness towards sleep. Imagine it as a quick, involuntary squeeze, like a gentle hand briefly tightening around your arm or leg, lasting no more than half a second, but sometimes powerful enough to jolt you back toward wakefulness. The word hypnic comes from hypnos, the Greek god of sleep, while jerk describes the quick, sudden nature of the movement. Together they paint a picture, a quick movement at sleep's door. Some prefer the term sleep start, which captures the way these twitches can startle you back from the edge of slumber. Others use hypnagogic jerk, referring to that dreamy twilight state between wake and sleep, where they most commonly occur. These contractions are remarkably diverse in how they feel and where they occur in your body. Sometimes it's a single leg that kicks out suddenly, as if you've stepped off an unseen curb. Other times it might be your arm that jerks, perhaps causing you to fling it outward or pull it against your chest. Occasionally the twitch involves your whole torso, a quick contraction that might cause your shoulders to hunch or your back to arch slightly. What makes hypnic jerks particularly fascinating is their timing. They occur almost exclusively during the transition from wakefulness to sleep. Specifically, as your brain begins to shift from the alert brain waves of consciousness to the slower, gentler waves of early sleep. This is why they're most common in the first few minutes after you close your eyes and begin to drift off. Your body is in the process of switching gears, and occasionally there's a brief moment where the gears don't mesh perfectly smoothly. The physical mechanism is elegantly simple, even though the orchestration is complex. As your brain prepares for sleep, it begins to reduce the signals that keep your muscles ready for action. But occasionally, a cluster of motor neurons, the nerve cells that control muscle movement, fires unexpectedly. This sudden signal causes a brief muscle contraction, the hypnic jerk you feel. In the broader landscape of medicine, hypnic jerks belong to a family called myoclonus, involuntary muscle contractions that can occur anywhere in the body. But don't let the medical terminology worry you. Myoclonus exists on a vast spectrum, from the completely normal to the medically significant, and hypnic jerks reside firmly in the completely normal category. Think of myoclonus as a large family gathering. At this gathering, you'd find all kinds of muscle twitches and jerks. There would be the hiccups. Yes, hiccups are a form of myoclonus affecting your diaphragm. You'd encounter the brief muscle jumps that happen when you're startled by a loud noise. And sitting comfortably among all these normal relatives would be hypnic jerks, chatting easily with the others about their shared characteristic, brief involuntary muscle contractions. What distinguishes hypnic jerks from their more concerning cousins in the myoclonus family is their predictable, benign nature. They happen only at sleep onset. They're brief and self-limiting. They don't spread or worsen over time. They don't interfere with your daily activities, and they don't signal any underlying neurological condition. This is quite different from pathological myoclonus, which might occur during wakefulness, could be repetitive or prolonged, and might indicate underlying medical conditions. But hypnic jerks are like the gentle, well-behaved members of the family, present, noticed, but never causing trouble. To truly understand hypnic jerks, we need to appreciate the remarkable process they occur within, the transition from wakefulness to sleep. This isn't like flipping a light switch. It's more like the gradual dimming of theater lights, a slow, careful transition that involves multiple systems in your body working in exquisite coordination. As you settle into bed and close your eyes, your brain begins one of its most sophisticated daily performances. The neurons that have been firing rapidly all day, keeping you alert and responsive, begin to slow their activity. Your brain waves, which have been quick and choppy like small waves on a windy lake, start to smooth into longer, more rolling patterns. Your body joins this transition. Your heart rate begins to slow. Your breathing deepens and becomes more regular. Your blood pressure drops slightly. Your muscles, which have been ready to move and respond all day, begin to relax. Your body temperature starts to lower, and hormones like melatonin begin to rise in your bloodstream. But this transition isn't always perfectly smooth. Sometimes, as all these systems are shifting gears, there's a brief moment of miscommunication. It's a bit like an orchestra where most of the musicians are slowing down to play a lullaby, but one instrument briefly plays a louder note before settling into the gentle melody. The hypnic jerk is that momentary louder note, startling perhaps, but quickly absorbed back into the overall harmony. As we explore these mechanisms, it's important to anchor ourselves again and again in this truth. Your body knows what it's doing. The systems that produce hypnic jerks are the same systems that successfully guide you into restorative sleep night after night. They're not malfunctioning. They're functioning exactly as human bodies have functioned for millennia. When a hypnic jerk occurs, it's often followed by a brief moment of alertness, a quick assessment. What was that? Am I okay? And the beautiful answer is always, yes, you're okay. Your body just made a small adjustment as it was settling into sleep. It's like a skilled driver making a tiny correction to keep a car smoothly on the road. In fact, some sleep researchers suggest that hypnic jerks might even serve a subtle protective function. They occur during a time when your body is becoming less responsive to the outside world, and that brief moment of alertness they create allows for a final check. Is everything safe? Am I in a secure place to sleep? Once that unconscious assessment confirms that all is well, you can continue your journey into sleep. This perspective transforms the hypnic jerk from something that interrupts sleep into something that actually serves sleep. A momentary sentinel ensuring that you're safe to let your guard down completely. Perhaps one of the most comforting aspects of understanding hypnic jerks is recognizing their fundamental harmlessness. They don't hurt you. They don't prevent good sleep. In fact, once you drift off, they typically disappear entirely, allowing you hours of uninterrupted rest. They don't accumulate or build up over time. They don't wear out your nervous system or your muscles. Many people, once they understand what hypnic jerks are, find that they can even develop a friendly relationship with them. Instead of tensing up when one occurs, they might think something like, "Oh, there's my sleep jerk. I must be getting close to falling asleep." Some describe learning to see them as a signal that their body is successfully transitioning toward rest. This shift in relationship from concern to acceptance, from resistance to curiosity, often has the pleasant side effect of making the jerks feel less intense and less frequent. When you're not bracing against them, when you're not lying in bed worried about whether one might occur, the whole process of falling asleep becomes more relaxed and natural. As we prepare to explore the science behind hypnic jerks more deeply, you might notice your own body settling more comfortably. Perhaps your breathing has slowed a bit as we've talked. Maybe your muscles have relaxed slightly as you've learned that these twitches are not only normal, but protective. This is perfect, because as we journey next into the fascinating landscape of your brain at sleep onset, you'll discover how beautifully complex and yet how elegantly simple the whole process really is. You'll see how different areas of your brain communicate as they prepare for sleep, how your nervous system shifts from day mode to night mode, and how a hypnic jerk fits into this transition as naturally as a yawn fits into tiredness. We'll explore the reticular formation, that ancient network in your brainstem that has been guiding human sleep for countless generations. We'll discover how motor neurons, like careful messengers, usually deliver their signals precisely, and how occasionally they might send an unexpected message as they're settling down for the night. And through it all, we'll maintain this understanding. You are witnessing your body's wisdom in action. Every breath, every heartbeat, every gentle shift towards sleep, and yes, every hypnic jerk is part of an intricate system that has evolved over millions of years to keep you healthy, rested, and restored. The science we're about to explore won't just explain what's happening. It will deepen your appreciation for the remarkable biological symphony occurring within you every single night. As we settle deeper into understanding, let's explore the wonderfully varied ways hypnic jerks can feel and appear. Like snowflakes, no two experiences are exactly alike, yet they share common patterns that connect you to millions of other people around the world who have felt these same sensations. Some nights, you might experience what feels like a gentle flutter, a brief, almost delicate twitch in your calf or forearm, so subtle that it barely registers in your consciousness. It's like a butterfly briefly landing on your skin before flying away. Other times, the sensation might be more pronounced. A sudden kick of your leg, sharp enough to disturb the bed covers, or a quick jerking motion of your arm that might accidentally bump your sleep partner. Then there are those more dramatic moments, the full-body jolts that can feel like being struck by a gentle, lightning bolt. These are the hypnic jerks that cause people to gasp, to open their eyes wide, to feel their heart racing for a moment as they wonder what just happened. Your whole torso might contract briefly, or you might feel as though you've been lifted and dropped back onto the mattress in the space of a heartbeat. What's particularly fascinating is how these physical sensations often interweave with fleeting mental imagery. You might feel your leg kick out while simultaneously experiencing a brief flash of missing a step on a staircase. Or your arm might jerk while your mind glimpses stepping off a curb that's higher than expected. These hypnagogic hallucinations, brief dreamlike images that occur at the threshold of sleep, add another layer of richness to the experience. Perhaps no aspect of hypnic jerks is more universally recognized than the falling sensation. It's remarkable how consistently this particular feeling appears across different people and cultures. The sensation can be startlingly vivid, a stomach-dropping feeling of plummeting through space, often accompanied by the reflexive movement of your arms or legs, as if your body is trying to catch itself or break a fall. Sometimes the falling sensation is brief and abstract, just a quick drop, like missing the last step in the dark. Other times it can feel more elaborate and specific. People describe dreams of slipping on ice, stepping into a hole, falling off a bicycle, or even more fanciful scenarios like tumbling through clouds or off the edge of a cliff. What's particularly interesting is that the falling sensation doesn't always match the actual movement of your body. You might feel as though you're plummeting head first, while your leg is what actually jerks. Or you might sense falling backward while your arms move forward. This suggests that the sensation and the physical movement are related but distinct aspects of the same phenomenon, each arising from different parts of your brain's sleep-onset activity. The intensity of the falling sensation can vary dramatically, too. Sometimes it's gentle, like slowly sinking into warm water. Other times it can be so vivid and startling that you gasp aloud, your heart pounds, and you feel completely awake for several minutes afterward. Both experiences are completely normal. They're simply different notes in the wide range of ways your nervous system can express this transition. One of the most comforting aspects of hypnic jerks is understanding that they're as individual as you are. Some people experience them nearly every night, while others might go months or even years between episodes. Some feel them most strongly when they're overtired, while others notice them more when they're actually well-rested, but perhaps stressed or excited about something. Your hypnic jerks might have their own personality, so to speak. Maybe yours tend to be single, isolated twitches, one small jolt, and then peaceful transition to sleep. Perhaps yours come in small clusters, like a brief series of hiccups before settling down. Some people experience them primarily in their legs, others in their arms, and still others as full-body events. The timing can be personal, too. Most commonly, hypnic jerks occur in the first few minutes after you've closed your eyes and begun to drift towards sleep. But some people notice them happening just as they're settling into bed, while others experience them deeper into the falling asleep process. Occasionally, they might occur as you're transitioning between different stages of light sleep. Even the accompanying sensations can have your unique signature. Some people rarely experience the falling sensation, instead feeling their hypnic jerks as pure muscle twitches without much mental imagery. Others almost always have vivid accompanying dreams or images. Some feel energized and alert after a hypnic jerk, while others barely wake up from them at all. Let's paint some gentle pictures of the moments when hypnic jerks most commonly appear, so you can recognize the familiar settings in your own experience. Picture yourself at the end of a particularly busy day. You've settled into bed, perhaps later than you intended, and your body is tired, but your mind is still somewhat active. You close your eyes and feel yourself beginning to sink into that lovely, drowsy state. Your breathing is slowing, your muscles are relaxing, and the thoughts of the day are starting to blur and fade. Just as you reach that delicious edge where you're about to slip into sleep, your leg kicks out suddenly, or your whole body gives a quick jolt. You're instantly more awake, perhaps slightly startled, but as you settle back down, you can feel sleep welcoming you again. Or imagine a quieter scenario. You're having one of those perfect bedtime experiences where everything feels exactly right. The room temperature is comfortable, your pillow is perfectly positioned, and you feel that deep sense of relaxation settling over you like a warm blanket. Your body is sinking into the mattress. Your breathing is naturally deepening, and there's a beautiful sense of the day releasing its hold on you. In this peaceful state, a gentle twitch in your arm or a subtle jerk in your shoulder briefly interrupts the serenity, but rather than being jarring, it almost feels like a soft punctuation mark at the end of the sentence of your day. These scenarios illustrate something important. Hypnic jerks can occur in any state of pre-sleep relaxation, whether you're overtired or perfectly rested, stressed or calm, in familiar surroundings or somewhere new. They're not dependent on your emotional state or the particular circumstances of your evening. They're simply one of the ways your nervous system navigates the transition to sleep. As we near the end of this exploration of personal experiences, it's worth celebrating the beautiful individuality of how each person experiences hypnic jerks. Some people describe them as mildly annoying interruptions to their sleep onset, while others find them oddly comforting, like familiar companions. Some feel them as predominantly physical events, while others are fascinated by the accompanying dream imagery. There are people who've learned to predict when they're likely to experience hypnic jerks. Perhaps they notice them more during stressful periods, or after drinking caffeine later in the day, or when they're sleeping in unfamiliar places. Others find their hypnic jerks completely unpredictable, appearing randomly without any apparent connection to their daily activities or emotional state. Some individuals develop strategies for working with their hypnic jerks, perhaps using breathing techniques to quickly settle back towards sleep, or practicing a kind of mental acceptance that allows them to ride through the brief alertness without becoming fully awake. Others simply let them be, trusting that their body will navigate back to sleep naturally. And some people discover that understanding the science behind hypnic jerks actually changes their experience of them. Instead of feeling startled or concerned, they might find themselves thinking, there's my reticular formation doing its sleep transition work, or my motor neurons are just settling down for the night. All of these personal variations and individual differences point to something beautiful. Hypnic jerks are a normal part of human neurology, but they're expressed through the unique instrument of your particular nervous system. Just as no two people have exactly the same speaking voice, no two people have exactly the same hypnic jerk pattern. And this brings us to the threshold of deeper understanding. Because when we begin to explore the science behind these personal experiences, we don't lose the mystery and individuality, we enhance it. Understanding how your brain orchestrates sleep onset, how motor neurons communicate, and how your balance system interprets sudden movements only deepens the appreciation for how remarkable your nightly transition to sleep truly is. As we prepare to journey into the fascinating landscape of your sleeping brain, you might notice that your own body has been settling more deeply as we've talked. Perhaps the gentle rhythm of these words has been like a lullaby, helping demonstrate the very process we've been exploring. Your breathing may have deepened, your muscles may have relaxed, and you might even be approaching that wonderful threshold state where hypnic jerks most commonly occur. If that happens, if you feel a gentle twitch or jerk as we continue, you can greet it now as an old friend, a familiar part of your body's wisdom in action. Because as we dive into the science next, you'll discover how beautifully the brain prepares for rest, and how hypnic jerks fit into this process as naturally as stars fit into the night sky. The journey into understanding the brain's nighttime dance is about to begin, and it will show you just how elegant and sophisticated your transition to sleep truly is. As you settle more deeply into this quiet exploration, imagine your brain as a vast, gentle theater preparing for the evening's final performance. The bright work lights that have kept every corner illuminated throughout your busy day are beginning to dim one by one. The stage crew, the various regions of your brain, are quietly preparing for the transition from the bright, active drama of wakefulness to the soft, restorative intermission of sleep. This transition doesn't happen all at once like flipping a switch. Instead, it unfolds like a sunset, with different systems in your brain and body gradually shifting from their daytime rhythms to their nighttime patterns. And it's within this beautiful, complex process that hypnic jerks find their place, not as interruptions or mistakes, but as natural moments in an intricate dance that has been perfected over millions of years of human evolution. Have you ever noticed how your thoughts begin to change as you approach sleep? How the clear, focused thinking of your day starts to blur at the edges, becoming more fluid, more dreamlike. This is your brain beginning its nightly transformation, moving from one state of consciousness to another, as naturally as a river flows from mountain to sea. The journey from wakefulness to sleep passes through several distinct territories, each with its own character and purpose. First, there's that dreamy twilight state called hypnagogia, a word that comes from the Greek words for sleep and guide, literally meaning leading into sleep. This is that floating, in-between place where you're not quite awake, but not yet truly asleep, where thoughts might drift into brief, strange images, and where the boundary between your inner world and the outer world begins to soften. In hypnagogia, your brain waves begin to change their rhythm. During full wakefulness, your brain produces what scientists call alpha waves, quick, crisp patterns of electrical activity that keep you alert and focused. But as you enter this twilight state, these give way to slower, more rolling patterns called theta waves, like the difference between the quick ripples on a windy lake and the longer, gentler swells of a calm sea. From hypnagogia, you transition into what sleep researchers call Stage 1 NREM sleep, the lightest stage of true sleep. NREM stands for non-rapid eye movement, distinguishing it from the later dreaming stages. In Stage 1, you're genuinely asleep, but so lightly that you could be awakened by the gentlest touch or softest sound. Your breathing has become more regular, your heart rate has begun to slow, and your muscles have started to relax more deeply. It's precisely during these transitions, from wake to hypnagogia, and from hypnagogia to Stage 1 sleep, that hypnic jerks most commonly occur. Your brain is in the process of changing its fundamental operating mode, and occasionally, in this complex handoff between different neural systems, a brief signal gets sent to your muscles before they're fully prepared for the quiet of sleep. To understand how hypnic jerks fit into this process, let's follow the gentle power-down sequence that occurs in your brain each night. Think of it like a large office building at the end of the workday, with different departments shutting down in a careful, coordinated sequence. First, your cortex, the outer layer of your brain responsible for conscious thought, decision-making, and awareness, begins to reduce its activity. This is like the executives and managers starting to turn off their office lights and head home. As cortical activity decreases, your thoughts become less focused and directed, more prone to wandering and drifting. Next, your thalamus, a relay station deep in your brain that normally passes sensory information from the outside world to your conscious awareness, begins to dial back its activity. Imagine it as the building's main switchboard, gradually reducing the number of calls it puts through. Sounds become less distinct. Your awareness of temperature or touch begins to fade, and the bright sensory world of day starts to dim. Meanwhile, a network in your brainstem called the reticular activating system, which has been keeping you alert and responsive all day, begins to stand down. This system is like the building's security team, vigilant, always ready to respond to important signals. But as sleep approaches, it too begins to quiet its activity, allowing other systems to take over the careful work of maintaining your body during rest. As these wake-promoting systems dial down their activity, sleep-promoting systems begin to ramp up. Areas deep in your brain start releasing chemicals that encourage drowsiness and relaxation. Your breathing becomes deeper and more regular. Your heart rate slows. Your body temperature begins to drop slightly, and your muscles start to release the tension they've held throughout the day. Here's where the story becomes particularly relevant to hypnic jerks. Throughout your waking hours, your motor system, the network of brain regions and nerve pathways that control your muscles, has been finely tuned for action. Your motor cortex has been ready to send signals for movement. Your spinal cord has been prepared to relay those signals, and your muscles have maintained just the right amount of tension to respond quickly when needed. But sleep requires a different kind of motor control. During deeper stages of sleep, your brain actually prevents most muscle movement to keep you from acting out your dreams. This protective mechanism needs to be gradually activated as you transition from wake to sleep, and like any complex system, it doesn't always engage perfectly smoothly. During the transition into sleep, there can be brief moments when motor neurons, the nerve cells that directly control your muscles, receive unexpected signals. Think of it like an orchestra where most of the musicians are putting down their instruments and settling into quiet, but occasionally one instrument sounds a brief note before joining the hush. These unexpected signals to your muscles are what create hypnic jerks. A cluster of motor neurons might suddenly fire, sending a quick message to contract muscles in your arm, leg, or torso. The contraction is brief, usually lasting less than half a second, but it can be strong enough to jolt you partially back toward wakefulness. What's particularly interesting is that these motor signals often occur just as your conscious awareness is fading. This creates a unique situation where your body moves suddenly, just as your brain is losing its usual conscious control over movement. It's a bit like being a passenger in a car just as someone else takes over the driving. There can be a moment of surprise as control shifts from one system to another. As we explore this process, it becomes clear that the relationship between consciousness and motor control during sleep onset is remarkably sophisticated. During full wakefulness, your conscious mind maintains a kind of oversight over your movements. You decide to reach for something, and your motor system carries out that decision. But as consciousness fades into sleep, this oversight must be carefully transferred to unconscious systems that will maintain essential functions while allowing you to rest. This handoff between conscious and unconscious motor control is usually seamless, but hypnic jerks represent those occasional moments when the transition isn't perfectly smooth. Your conscious mind has stepped back from its role as movement supervisor, but the unconscious systems haven't yet fully taken over. In this brief gap, a motor neuron might fire without the usual conscious or unconscious oversight, creating that sudden, unexpected muscle contraction. The falling sensation that often accompanies hypnic jerks adds another layer to this story. As your muscle suddenly contracts, your balance system, the network of structures in your inner ear and brain that normally help you maintain your orientation in space, tries to interpret what just happened. But this system is also in the process of winding down for sleep, and in its drowsy state, it might misinterpret the sudden muscle movement as a loss of balance or a fall. This misinterpretation creates that vivid sensation of stumbling, slipping, or falling that so many people experience with hypnic jerks. Your brain, in its transitional state between wake and sleep, weaves this balance information together with any fleeting dream imagery that might be occurring, creating the complete experience of a hypnic jerk, the physical twitch, the falling sensation, and perhaps a brief flash of dream content about missing a step or slipping off an edge. What emerges from understanding this process is an appreciation for how the nervous system recalibrates itself each night. Like a sophisticated machine powering down for maintenance, your brain and nervous system don't simply shut off. They reorganize, transitioning from one mode of operation to another. During this recalibration, hypnic jerks can be understood as brief moments when the system makes small adjustments. They're not signs of malfunction, but rather evidence of the complex coordination required to shift from wakefulness to sleep. Your nervous system is essentially fine-tuning itself, and occasionally that process includes a small overshoot or undershoot that manifests as a muscle twitch. This perspective transforms hypnic jerks from mysterious interruptions into visible signs of your body's sophisticated sleep preparation process. Each time you experience one, you're witnessing your nervous system actively working to provide you with restorative sleep. But what exactly causes that specific sensation of falling that makes hypnic jerks so memorable and sometimes startling? Scientists have developed several thoughtful theories, each offering a piece of the puzzle. Let's explore these ideas together, understanding how they might explain not just the physical twitch, but also the rich sensory experience that often accompanies it. The mystery of why hypnic jerks so often feel like falling has captured the curiosity of sleep researchers for decades. It's one of those beautiful questions that sits at the intersection of neuroscience, evolution, and human experience. As we explore the leading theories, you'll discover that scientists have developed several thoughtful explanations, each offering its own insight into this common yet fascinating phenomenon. What makes these theories particularly intriguing is how they connect the simple physical fact of a muscle twitch to the rich, often vivid experience of falling, stumbling, or catching yourself. The sensation is so consistent across different people and cultures that it suggests something fundamental about how our brains are wired and how they interpret the transition to sleep. The most widely accepted scientific explanation for hypnic jerks centers on the idea of neural misfiring, a concept that sounds more dramatic than it actually is. Think of your brain as a vast electrical network, with billions of neurons constantly sending signals to each other in carefully coordinated patterns. During the transition to sleep, this network undergoes a major shift in activity, and occasionally a signal gets sent at an unexpected moment, like a musician in an orchestra playing a note just before the conductor's cue. To understand this process, imagine your motor system as a complex communication network. Throughout the day, signals flow smoothly from your motor cortex, the area of your brain that plans and initiates movement, down through your brainstem and spinal cord to the motor neurons that directly control your muscles. This system is usually exquisitely controlled, with multiple checkpoints and feedback loops ensuring that movements happen only when intended. But as you transition towards sleep, this entire network begins to change its operating mode. The motor cortex starts to quiet down, reducing its oversight of movement. The brainstem regions that help coordinate motor signals also begin to shift their activity patterns, and the spinal cord prepares to implement the muscle inhibition that will prevent you from moving during deeper stages of sleep. During this transition, there can be brief moments when a cluster of motor neurons receives an unexpected signal. It might come from the motor cortex as it's powering down, from brainstem regions that are shifting their activity patterns, or even from the spinal cord itself as it adjusts its sensitivity. This unexpected signal causes a group of muscles to contract suddenly and briefly, the hypnic jerk you feel. Scientists often use gentle analogies to explain this phenomenon. Some compare it to a light bulb that flickers briefly before settling into a steady glow, or to a car engine that backfires once before purring smoothly. Others liken it to a computer that sometimes makes a small sound or blinks a light as it shuts down. Not a sign of malfunction, but simply evidence of the complex processes involved in changing operational states. What's particularly reassuring about this theory is that it frames hypnic jerks as completely normal variations in an otherwise smooth process. Just as no two sunsets are exactly alike, no two transitions from wake to sleep are identical, and hypnic jerks represent natural variation in this nightly journey. Another fascinating explanation for hypnic jerks, particularly the falling sensation, involves the unique brain state called hypnagogia, that dreamy threshold between wakefulness and sleep. During hypnagogia, your brain begins to produce brief, often vivid images, sensations, or sounds that can feel remarkably real. These hypnagogic hallucinations, as researchers call them, might include seeing faces or patterns, hearing voices or music, or experiencing sensations of movement or falling. What's particularly intriguing is how these dreamlike experiences can interweave with the physical sensation of a hypnic jerk. You might experience a brief flash of missing a step on a staircase at the exact moment your leg jerks, or dream of slipping on ice just as your whole body twitches. This synchronization suggests that the hypnagogic imagery and the muscle contraction might be related, two aspects of the same neural process. During hypnagogia, the boundaries between different types of brain activity become more fluid. The areas of your brain that process visual imagery, movement, and sensation are all adjusting their activity levels as you transition towards sleep, and they may influence each other in ways that don't occur during full wakefulness. A brief surge of activity in your motor system might trigger corresponding activity in your visual or balance systems, creating the complete experience of dreaming about falling while your body actually twitches. This theory helps explain why hypnic jerks often feel so much more dramatic than they actually are. A small muscle contraction, when paired with vivid hypnagogic imagery of falling or stumbling, can create the sensation of a major physical event. Your brain, in its transitional state between wake and sleep, weaves together these different signals into a coherent but often startling experience. The hypnagogic explanation also accounts for the rich variety in how people experience hypnic jerks. Some people report elaborate dream scenarios, tripping down stairs, falling off buildings, or missing steps in the dark. Others experience more abstract sensations, simply dropping or tilting without any specific visual content. This variety reflects the individual differences in how people's brains generate and process hypnagogic imagery. One of the most poetic theories about hypnic jerks suggests they might be evolutionary echoes from our distant past. This hypothesis, while lacking direct evidence, proposes that hypnic jerks could be remnants of an ancient safety mechanism that helped our early ancestors avoid falling from trees or other elevated sleeping places. The reasoning goes like this. Millions of years ago, early human ancestors likely slept in trees or other elevated locations for protection from ground-dwelling predators. In such environments, falling asleep too deeply too quickly could be dangerous. A loss of muscle tone might cause someone to slip and fall, a mechanism that briefly aroused the sleeper at the moment of deepest relaxation could serve as a final safety check. Are you secure? Is it safe to fully let go? According to this theory, the falling sensation associated with hypnic jerks might represent your brain's ancient interpretation of the muscle relaxation that occurs at sleep onset. As your muscles begin to release their daytime tension, some primitive part of your nervous system might misinterpret this relaxation as actual falling, triggering a brief arousal response to ensure safety. While this evolutionary explanation is compelling and poetic, it's important to note that it remains speculative. There's no direct fossil evidence or genetic research that definitively supports this theory. Modern sleep scientists tend to view it more as an interesting possibility than an established fact. However, it does help explain why the falling sensation is so universal across different cultures and why it feels so primal and immediate. The evolutionary theory also raises interesting questions about other aspects of hypnic jerks. If they truly served a protective function in the past, why do they occur randomly rather than in response to actual safety threats? Why do they happen in the safety of modern beds just as often as they might have happened in ancient tree branches? These questions suggest that even if hypnic jerks did have evolutionary origins, they may now persist simply as harmless neurological quirks, like the appendix or wisdom teeth, vestiges of an earlier time that no longer serve their original purpose. A more recent area of research focuses on how the brain integrates different types of sensory information during the transition to sleep, offering another piece of the hypnic jerk puzzle. This theory examines how your balance system, your sense of body position, and your brain's interpretation centers work together, or sometimes fail to work together, during hypnagogia. Your sense of balance and spatial orientation depends on a complex integration of information from your inner ear, your visual system, and sensors throughout your body that detect position and movement. During normal wakefulness, these systems work together seamlessly, providing you with a clear sense of where you are in space and whether you're stable or moving. But during the transition to sleep, all of these systems are also transitioning. Your visual system is shutting down as you close your eyes. Your inner ear's balance organs are recalibrating for a period of stillness, and the sensors throughout your body that normally detect position and movement are adjusting to the muscle relaxation that accompanies sleep onset. When a hypnic jerk occurs, when muscles suddenly contract during this transitional period, these various sensory systems might interpret the movement differently than they would during full wakefulness. The sudden muscle contraction might be processed by a balance system that's already in a transitional state, leading to an exaggerated interpretation of the movement as falling or losing balance. This theory helps explain why the falling sensation often feels so vivid and convincing, even when the actual muscle movement is relatively small. Your brain, trying to make sense of mixed signals from systems that are all in the process of transitioning to sleep mode, creates a coherent but often dramatic interpretation of what's happening. What's beautiful about these various theories is that they're not necessarily mutually exclusive. The brain misfire explanation might account for why the muscle contraction occurs, while the hypnagogic theory might explain why it's often accompanied by vivid imagery, and the perceptual integration theory might illuminate why the falling sensation feels so real. Together they paint a picture of hypnic jerks as complex phenomena that arise from the interaction of multiple brain systems during one of the most sophisticated transitions your body performs each day. As sleep research continues to advance, scientists may discover additional factors that contribute to hypnic jerks, or they may find evidence that supports some theories more strongly than others. But what remains constant is the understanding that these experiences, however startling they might feel in the moment, are normal expressions of the remarkable process by which your brain and body prepare for sleep. What also emerges from exploring these theories is a sense of wonder at the complexity and sophistication of your nervous system. Whether hypnic jerks arise from neural misfiring, hypnagogic dream activity, evolutionary safety mechanisms, or perceptual integration challenges, they represent your brain actively working to navigate one of life's most fundamental transitions. But understanding the theories behind hypnic jerks naturally leads to another question. Why do some people experience them more frequently than others? What factors in our daily lives might influence when and how often these sleep threshold twitches occur? Let's explore the gentle influences that can make hypnic jerks more or less likely to visit you on any given night. As we continue our quiet exploration, it's worth understanding that hypnic jerks, while fundamentally normal, can be influenced by the rhythms and choices of your daily life. Think of these influences not as strict rules or causes for concern, but rather as gentle factors that your nervous system takes into account as it prepares for sleep each night. Just as some evenings you might fall asleep quickly and easily, while others find you tossing and turning, the likelihood and intensity of hypnic jerks can vary based on how your day has unfolded. Your body is constantly responding to the signals you send it, through what you consume, how you move, what stresses you encounter, and how you prepare for rest. Understanding these factors isn't about controlling every aspect of your sleep experience, but rather about developing a gentle awareness of how your daily choices might influence your nightly transition to rest. Some people find that recognizing these patterns helps them feel more at peace with their hypnic jerks, while others discover small adjustments that make their sleep onset feel smoother and more comfortable. Have you ever noticed that hypnic jerks seem more common after particularly intense or stressful days? There's a gentle logic to this pattern that becomes clear when we understand how your nervous system responds to stress and arousal. Throughout a demanding day, your body's stress response systems, designed to help you meet challenges and respond to difficulties, remain more active than usual. Your levels of stress hormones like cortisol and adrenaline might be elevated, your heart rate might be slightly faster, and your muscles might carry more tension than they do on calmer days. These are all normal adaptive responses that help you navigate life's challenges. But when evening arrives and you're ready for sleep, these daytime arousal systems need to wind down to allow the sleep-promoting systems to take over. Usually this transition happens naturally as you settle into your bedtime routine and the demands of the day fade away. However, sometimes the nervous system takes longer to fully shift gears, remaining slightly more reactive and sensitive than usual as you begin to drift towards sleep. In this state of heightened sensitivity, the motor neurons that can produce hypnic jerks might be more likely to fire unexpectedly. It's as if your nervous system is still slightly turned up from the day's demands, making it more prone to those brief electrical hiccups that create the muscle contractions. Anxiety, whether about specific events or more generalized worry, can have a similar effect. When your mind is actively processing concerns or planning for future challenges, it can be harder for your nervous system to fully embrace the letting go that sleep requires. The mental energy of worry can keep arousal systems more active than they would be on a peaceful evening. You might notice this pattern in your own experience. Perhaps after a day filled with deadlines, difficult conversations, or emotional challenges, you find yourself experiencing more frequent or intense hypnic jerks. Or maybe you've observed that during periods of life change, starting a new job, moving to a new home, or dealing with family challenges, your sleep onset twitches become more noticeable. This isn't a sign that you're doing anything wrong or that your stress response is malfunctioning. It's simply evidence of how beautifully integrated your nervous system is, responding to the full context of your daily experience as it prepares for sleep. Many of us rely on caffeine to help navigate the energy demands of our days. And for most people, moderate caffeine consumption doesn't significantly interfere with sleep. But the timing of that last cup of coffee, tea, or energy drink can influence how smoothly your nervous system transitions to sleep, and potentially how likely you are to experience hypnic jerks. Caffeine works by blocking adenosine, a chemical that naturally builds up in your brain throughout the day and helps promote sleepiness when evening arrives. When caffeine blocks adenosine, it can keep your brain more alert and your nervous system more active than it would be naturally. The effects of caffeine can last much longer than many people realize, often 6 to 8 hours after consumption. This means that caffeine consumed in the late afternoon or evening might still be influencing your nervous system when you're ready for bed. Your brain might be trying to initiate the sleep transition process, while caffeine is still keeping certain systems more alert and reactive than usual. This can create a kind of neurological tension that might make motor neuron misfiring, the mechanism behind hypnic jerks, more likely to occur. Nicotine, found in cigarettes and other tobacco products, can have a similar effect. While some people find nicotine calming in the short term, it's actually a stimulant that can increase nervous system activity. Using nicotine products in the evening can keep your arousal systems more active than they would be naturally, potentially contributing to more frequent hypnic jerks. Energy drinks, which often combine caffeine with other stimulating compounds, can have particularly long-lasting effects on nervous system activity. If you've ever noticed more sleep onset twitches after consuming energy drinks earlier in the day, this stimulant effect might be the explanation. The interesting thing about caffeine and nicotine influences is that they're highly individual. Some people seem able to drink coffee right before bed with no effect on their sleep, while others find that even morning caffeine affects their evening rest. Pay attention to your own patterns. You might discover connections between your consumption timing and your hypnic jerk experiences that help you understand your body's unique rhythms. Physical activity is one of the most powerful tools for promoting healthy sleep, but the timing and intensity of exercise can influence how your nervous system behaves during sleep onset. Understanding these effects can help you work with your body's natural rhythms rather than against them. Intense exercise, especially when performed in the evening hours, can keep your nervous system in a more activated state longer than usual. During vigorous physical activity, your body naturally increases heart rate, breathing rate, core body temperature, and the activity of your sympathetic nervous system, the part responsible for fight or flight responses. These changes are beneficial and adaptive, helping your body meet the demands of physical exertion. However, these same activation systems need time to wind down after exercise ends. Your heart rate needs to return to its resting level. Your core body temperature needs to drop, and your nervous system needs to shift from the high alert state of physical activity to the relaxed state that promotes sleep. This wind-down process typically takes 2 to 3 hours, though it varies among individuals. If you go to bed while your nervous system is still in this elevated state from recent intense exercise, you might find that hypnic jerks are more frequent or intense than usual. Your motor neurons might still be more excitable, and the neural misfiring that creates hypnic jerks might be more likely to occur. This doesn't mean that evening exercise is problematic for everyone. Many people find that moderate evening activity actually helps them sleep better. The key seems to be understanding your own body's timing and choosing activities that feel energizing but not overstimulating for your particular nervous system. Gentle exercise, like yoga, stretching, or leisurely walking, can actually have the opposite effect, helping to promote the kind of calm arousal that supports smooth sleep onset. These activities can help release physical tension while promoting relaxation rather than excitement. Various medications and supplements can influence the likelihood of experiencing hypnic jerks, though the effects are usually mild and temporary. Understanding these influences can help you make sense of changes in your sleep patterns and discuss any concerns with your healthcare provider. Certain antidepressant medications, particularly those that affect serotonin levels, can sometimes increase the frequency of hypnic jerks. This isn't dangerous, but it can be noticeable if you're starting a new medication or adjusting dosages. The effect typically diminishes as your body adjusts to the medication. Some medications used to treat ADHD, which work as stimulants to increase focus and attention during the day, might also make hypnic jerks more likely if they're still active in your system at bedtime. Again, this is usually temporary and harmless, but it's worth discussing with your prescribing physician if it becomes bothersome. On the positive side, magnesium supplementation might help reduce the frequency or intensity of hypnic jerks for some people. Magnesium plays a role in muscle and nerve function, and adequate levels may support smoother muscle relaxation during sleep onset. However, it's always wise to discuss supplements with a healthcare provider before starting them, especially if you take other medications. Sleep aids, whether prescription or over-the-counter, can sometimes paradoxically increase hypnic jerks in certain individuals, particularly when first starting to use them or when stopping after regular use. This is usually a temporary adjustment period as your nervous system adapts to changes in its chemical environment. Your sleep environment, the temperature, lighting, sounds, and comfort of your bedroom, can also influence how frequently you experience hypnic jerks. These environmental factors work subtly, affecting your nervous system's overall state of relaxation as you prepare for sleep. Temperature plays a particularly important role. Your body naturally lowers its core temperature as part of the sleep initiation process, and sleeping in a room that's too warm can interfere with this natural cooling. When your body is working harder to regulate temperature, your nervous system might remain more active than it would in cooler conditions, potentially making hypnic jerks more likely. Sudden noises or bright lights, even if they don't fully wake you, can cause brief moments of nervous system activation during the vulnerable sleep onset period. If you're just beginning to drift off and a car honks outside, or a phone buzzes in another room, the startle response might combine with, or trigger, a hypnic jerk. Even your sleeping position can play a role. If you're sleeping in an uncomfortable position that requires your muscles to work to maintain stability, your motor neurons might be more active than they would be if you were completely comfortable and relaxed. The comfort and familiarity of your sleep environment can also matter. Sleeping in a new place, whether a hotel room or a friend's couch, can keep your nervous system slightly more alert than usual, potentially affecting the smoothness of your sleep onset process. Perhaps most importantly, each person develops their own unique patterns and sensitivities when it comes to hypnic jerks. You might notice that yours are more common during certain seasons, during particular phases of your life, or in connection with specific aspects of your daily routine that wouldn't affect someone else in the same way. Some people find that their hypnic jerks are more noticeable when they're overtired, while others experience them more when they're well-rested, but excited about something. Some notice connections with their menstrual cycle, while others see patterns related to work schedules or social activities. These individual differences remind us that while the basic mechanisms of hypnic jerks are universal, the way they're expressed is as unique as you are. Your nervous system has its own personality, its own sensitivities, and its own patterns of responding to the various influences in your life. Understanding your own patterns without becoming overly focused on controlling them can be empowering. It can help you approach your sleep with greater self-awareness and compassion, recognizing that your hypnic jerks are part of your body's individual way of navigating the transition to sleep. As we move forward in our exploration, it's important to remember that all of these factors — stress, caffeine, exercise, medications, environment, and individual patterns — influence but do not determine your experience of hypnic jerks. They're part of the rich tapestry of factors that your nervous system considers as it prepares for sleep each night, but they don't represent problems that need to be solved or controlled. Instead, they offer opportunities for gentle awareness, for understanding the intricate ways that your daily choices and experiences influence your nightly journey toward rest. And with this awareness comes the possibility of making small adjustments that feel good to you, not because hypnic jerks are problematic, but because supporting your nervous system's natural rhythms can enhance your overall sense of well-being. Before we move deeper, let's talk about those rare moments when seeking guidance can bring extra peace of mind, helping you distinguish between the normal variations we've been exploring and the exceptional circumstances where professional support might be helpful. As we settle into this gentle conversation about when professional guidance might be helpful, let's begin with the most important truth. For the vast majority of people, hypnic jerks require no medical attention whatsoever. They are as normal as yawning when tired or shivering when cold, natural expressions of your body's nightly transition to sleep that need nothing more than understanding and acceptance. Perhaps you've wondered about your own twitches as we've explored this topic together. Are mine normal? Should I be concerned? These are natural questions that arise when we become more aware of something our bodies do regularly. Let's explore these concerns with the same gentle curiosity we've brought to understanding hypnic jerks themselves, always anchored in the reassuring knowledge that you're almost certainly experiencing something completely typical and harmless. Medical professionals, sleep specialists, neurologists, and family doctors encounter hypnic jerks regularly in their practices, and their consistent message is one of reassurance. The American Academy of Sleep Medicine, along with other major medical organizations, classifies hypnic jerks as benign sleep phenomena, meaning they're not associated with any health problems or underlying medical conditions in the overwhelming majority of cases. Think of hypnic jerks like hiccups, another form of benign myoclonus that most people experience regularly without ever needing medical care. Just as we don't typically worry about occasional hiccups, even when they're particularly strong or occur at inconvenient moments, most hypnic jerks simply represent normal nervous system variation rather than medical concerns. What makes hypnic jerks particularly interesting from a medical perspective is how much they can vary from person to person and even from night to night in the same person, while still remaining completely normal. Some people experience them rarely, perhaps once every few weeks or months. Others might have them several times per week. Some feel them as gentle flutters that barely disturb their drift towards sleep, while others experience more pronounced jolts that temporarily bring them back to full alertness. This wide range of normal experiences means that what feels dramatic or concerning to you might be perfectly typical for your particular nervous system. Your hypnic jerks have their own character, their own timing, their own intensity, much like your speaking voice or your gait when walking. They're expressions of your individual neurology rather than signs of dysfunction. Sleep medicine recognizes that about 60 to 70% of people experience hypnic jerks at some point in their lives, with about 10% experiencing them regularly. This means that if hypnic jerks were medically concerning, sleep clinics would be overwhelmed with patients seeking treatment. Instead, most people who mention them to their healthcare providers receive gentle reassurance and education rather than medical intervention. While hypnic jerks are overwhelmingly normal and benign, there are some patterns that might warrant a gentle conversation with a healthcare provider, not because they indicate serious problems, but because professional guidance can provide reassurance and, occasionally, simple strategies that enhance comfort and sleep quality. If you notice that your hypnic jerks have suddenly become much more frequent or intense than they typically are for you, this change might be worth discussing with your doctor, not because the jerks themselves are dangerous, but because significant changes in sleep patterns can sometimes reflect other factors in your life that might benefit from attention. Perhaps increased stress, medication changes, or other shifts in your daily routine that could be addressed. Similarly, if hypnic jerks begin to significantly interfere with your ability to fall asleep night after night, leading to chronic sleep deprivation that affects your daytime functioning, a healthcare provider can help identify contributing factors and suggest gentle strategies for improvement. This isn't because the jerks require medical treatment, but because good sleep is important for overall well-being, and sometimes simple adjustments can make a meaningful difference. Very rarely, what someone interprets as hypnic jerks might actually be a different type of movement that occurs during sleep, such as periodic limb movements or, even more uncommonly, seizure-related activity. Healthcare providers are trained to distinguish between these different phenomena through careful questioning about timing, frequency, and associated symptoms. If jerks occur not just at sleep onset, but throughout the night, or if they're accompanied by other symptoms like confusion, tongue biting, or loss of bladder control, these would be signs to discuss with a professional. It's worth noting that these more concerning patterns are quite rare and usually involve symptoms that are distinctly different from the typical hypnic jerk experience we've been exploring together. True hypnic jerks occur specifically during the transition from wakefulness to sleep, last only a fraction of a second, and leave you completely alert and oriented afterward. For the small percentage of people who do seek medical consultation about their sleep onset twitches, healthcare providers sometimes recommend a sleep study, a comfortable overnight observation in a specialized sleep center. Think of it as spending a night in a quiet hotel-like room where gentle sensors can record the natural patterns of your sleep. During a sleep study, tiny sensors placed on your scalp can record your brain waves, showing the beautiful transition from wake to sleep that we've been exploring together. Other sensors might monitor your muscle activity, breathing patterns, and heart rhythm throughout the night. It's like having a team of careful observers, documenting the elegant process by which your body prepares for and maintains sleep. For most people who undergo sleep studies to investigate hypnic jerks, the results provide reassuring confirmation that their twitches are indeed normal sleep onset phenomena. The study might reveal the brief muscle contractions occurring exactly when expected during the transition to stage 1 sleep, with normal brainwave patterns and no signs of seizure activity or other abnormalities. Occasionally, a sleep study might reveal other sleep-related conditions that could be contributing to disruptive nighttime movements, such as restless leg syndrome or periodic limb movement disorder. While these conditions are different from hypnic jerks, they're also generally treatable with simple interventions, and identifying them can lead to improved sleep quality. As we explore these medical considerations, it's important to maintain perspective about the remarkable wisdom of your body. Your nervous system has evolved over millions of years to successfully navigate the complex transition from wakefulness to sleep. The systems that occasionally produce hypnic jerks are the same systems that reliably provide you with restorative sleep, night after night, throughout your life. Medical professionals often remind their patients that the human body is beautifully imperfect. It's a living, dynamic system rather than a precise machine. Just as your heartbeat might occasionally skip or add an extra beat without indicating heart disease, your nervous system might occasionally produce a hypnic jerk without indicating neurological problems. These variations often reflect the wonderful complexity of being alive rather than signs of malfunction. Healthcare providers are trained to distinguish between variations that represent normal human physiology and patterns that might benefit from intervention. When someone seeks consultation about hypnic jerks, the evaluation typically involves gentle questioning about frequency, timing, accompanying symptoms, and impact on daily life, rather than extensive testing or dramatic interventions. Perhaps the most valuable aspect of understanding when to seek professional guidance is recognizing that you always have the option to discuss your concerns with a healthcare provider, regardless of whether your symptoms meet specific criteria for medical intervention. Sometimes the simple act of having a knowledgeable professional confirm that your experiences are normal can provide tremendous peace of mind. If you find yourself lying awake worrying about your hypnic jerks, or if they've begun to create anxiety around bedtime, a brief conversation with your doctor can often resolve these concerns quickly and definitively. Most healthcare providers are happy to provide education and reassurance about normal sleep phenomena, understanding that sleep anxiety can sometimes be more disruptive than the original concern. This kind of consultation doesn't require that your symptoms be severe or frequent. It simply reflects good self-advocacy and awareness of your own need for reassurance. Many people find that understanding their hypnic jerks from a medical perspective actually enhances their ability to experience them with curiosity rather than concern. But many will find comfort in simple daily habits that ease these nighttime twitches, gentle approaches that work with your body's natural rhythms rather than against them. as we transition into exploring gentle ways to support your nervous system's nightly journey towards sleep. Remember that these strategies are invitations rather than prescriptions, experiments in self-care that you can try with curiosity and kindness toward yourself. Your body already knows how to sleep beautifully. These approaches simply offer ways to smooth the path and create conditions that support your natural rhythms. Think of your evening routine as creating a gentle runway for sleep, with each choice you make either supporting or slightly complicating your nervous system's transition from the alertness of day to the restoration of night. The strategies we'll explore together are like runway lights, not essential for landing, but helpful guides that can make the journey smoother and more comfortable. One of the most powerful gifts you can offer your nervous system is the predictability of a consistent sleep schedule. Your body thrives on rhythm and pattern, and when you go to bed and wake up at roughly the same times each day, you provide your internal clock with clear signals about when to prepare for sleep and when to prepare for wakefulness. This consistency doesn't need to be rigid or stressful. You're not aiming for military precision, but rather for a gentle pattern that your body can recognize and anticipate. Even maintaining consistency within about 30 minutes can help your nervous system better coordinate all the complex processes involved in sleep onset, potentially reducing the likelihood of the misfiring that creates hypnic jerks. When your circadian rhythm, your internal biological clock, is well synchronized, the systems that promote sleepiness and those that maintain alertness work together more harmoniously. The transition from wake to sleep becomes smoother, with less of the neural uncertainty that can contribute to hypnic jerks. Many people find that consistent sleep timing also enhances the overall quality of their rest, making them feel more refreshed and energetic during waking hours. This improved daytime well-being can, in turn, contribute to easier, more relaxed sleep onset the following evening, creating a gentle, positive cycle. The relationship between caffeine and sleep is beautifully individual. Some people can drink espresso after dinner and sleep soundly, while others find that morning coffee affects their evening rest. Understanding your own caffeine sensitivity can be particularly relevant to hypnic jerks, since caffeine can keep your nervous system more reactive during the vulnerable sleep onset period. Research suggests that caffeine can remain active in your system for 6 to 10 hours after consumption, continuing to block adenosine, the chemical that naturally promotes sleepiness, long after you might expect its effects to have worn off. This means that the coffee you drink at 2 in the afternoon might still be influencing your nervous system when you're trying to fall asleep at 10 that evening. If you've noticed that your hypnic jerks seem more frequent or intense on days when you've consumed caffeine later than usual, you might experiment with moving your last caffeinated drink earlier in the day. This isn't about eliminating caffeine entirely if you enjoy it, but rather about finding the timing that works best for your particular nervous system. Some people discover that switching to decaffeinated options in the afternoon and evening makes their sleep onset feel gentler and more natural. Others find that herbal teas, chamomile, passion flower, or lemon balm provide a soothing ritual that signals to their body that the day is winding down. The key is paying attention to your own patterns with gentle curiosity rather than rigid rules. Your caffeine sensitivity might change with stress levels, age, hormonal fluctuations, or other medications you might be taking, so what works for you now might evolve over time. Exercise is one of the most powerful tools for promoting healthy sleep, but the timing and intensity of physical activity can influence how your nervous system behaves during sleep onset. Understanding this relationship can help you work with your body's natural rhythms rather than inadvertently working against them. Vigorous exercise, the kind that significantly elevates your heart rate, makes you breathe heavily, and activates your body's arousal systems, provides tremendous benefits for sleep quality when timed appropriately. Regular physical activity helps regulate circadian rhythms, reduces stress hormones, promotes the production of sleep-supporting chemicals, and provides the kind of healthy physical tiredness that makes rest feel welcome and restorative. However, intense exercise performed within 2 to 3 hours of bedtime can sometimes keep your nervous system in a more activated state during the crucial sleep onset period. Your heart rate, core body temperature, and stress hormones all rise during vigorous exercise, and these systems need time to return to their baseline levels before your body is optimally prepared for sleep. If you've noticed that your hypnic jerks seem more common after late evening workouts, you might experiment with moving intense exercise earlier in the day. This doesn't mean avoiding all evening activity. Gentle movement like stretching, yoga, or leisurely walking can actually support the transition towards sleep by helping to release physical tension and promote relaxation. The beautiful thing about this relationship is that regular exercise, regardless of timing, generally improves sleep quality over time. People who engage in regular physical activity typically experience fewer sleep disturbances, fall asleep more quickly, and enjoy deeper, more restorative rest. So even if you need to adjust the timing of your workouts, maintaining an active lifestyle supports your overall sleep health. Your sleep environment, the temperature, lighting, sounds, and overall atmosphere of your bedroom can subtly influence how smoothly your nervous system transitions from wakefulness to sleep. Small adjustments to create a more sleep-supporting environment can sometimes make hypnic jerks feel less frequent or intense. Temperature plays a particularly important role in sleep onset. Your body naturally lowers its core temperature as part of the sleep initiation process, and sleeping in a room that's too warm can interfere with this cooling. When your body is working to regulate temperature, your nervous system may remain more active than it would in cooler conditions. Most sleep experts recommend a bedroom temperature between 60 and 67 degrees Fahrenheit, though individual preferences certainly vary. Lighting also influences your nervous system's preparation for sleep. Bright light, especially the blue light emitted by phones, tablets, and computers, can suppress melatonin production and keep your brain more alert than is ideal for smooth sleep onset. Creating a dimmer environment in the hour or two before bed, using warm, soft lighting instead of bright overhead lights, can help signal to your brain that it's time to begin winding down. Sound can be either supportive or disruptive to sleep onset, depending on its character and your personal sensitivity. Sudden, unpredictable noises can trigger brief moments of nervous system activation that might coincide with or contribute to hypnic jerks. Some people find that gentle, consistent background sounds, soft music, nature sounds, or white noise help mask potentially disruptive environmental sounds while promoting relaxation. The comfort and familiarity of your sleep space also matter. When you feel secure and comfortable in your environment, your nervous system can more easily embrace the vulnerability that sleep requires. This might mean investing in comfortable bedding, ensuring your mattress properly supports your body, or simply arranging your space in a way that feels peaceful and welcoming. Some people find that magnesium supplementation helps reduce the frequency or intensity of their hypnic jerks. Magnesium plays important roles in muscle and nerve function, and adequate levels may support smoother muscle relaxation during sleep onset. However, it's important to approach supplements thoughtfully and with professional guidance. Before considering magnesium supplementation, it's wise to discuss your interest with a healthcare provider who can help you determine whether it's appropriate for your individual situation. They can advise you on dosing, timing, and potential interactions with any medications you might be taking. Some people notice improvements with magnesium supplementation, while others experience no change, and individual responses can vary significantly. If you and your healthcare provider decide to try magnesium, it's typically recommended to start with a lower dose and observe how your body responds. Some forms of magnesium are better absorbed than others, and taking it with food can help reduce the digestive upset that some people experience with mineral supplements. It's worth remembering that dietary sources of magnesium, like leafy green vegetables, nuts, seeds, and whole grains, can also contribute to adequate magnesium levels. Sometimes, simple dietary adjustments can provide the mineral support your body needs without requiring supplementation. Creating a gentle, consistent routine that signals to your nervous system that sleep is approaching can be one of the most effective ways to support smooth sleep onset. Think of your wind-down ritual as a bridge between the active energy of your day and the receptive stillness of night. This ritual doesn't need to be elaborate or time-consuming. Even 15 to 20 minutes of gentle, consistent activities can help your nervous system recognize that it's time to begin the transition toward sleep. The key is choosing activities that feel calming and sustainable for your lifestyle. Reading a book, taking a warm bath, doing gentle stretches, writing in a journal, or practicing breathing exercises can all serve as effective components of a wind-down routine. The specific activities matter less than their consistency and their ability to promote relaxation rather than stimulation. Many people find that their wind-down rituals become deeply associated with comfort and peace, creating a kind of Pavlovian response where simply beginning the routine helps their nervous system start to relax. Over time, these rituals can become powerful tools for signaling safety and readiness for sleep. Now, let's explore some simple practices you can try tonight to welcome sleep more peacefully. Gentle tools that can help your nervous system find its natural rhythm. As we settle into this peaceful space together, imagine that you're creating a gentle sanctuary within yourself, a quiet place where your nervous system can rest, your muscles can soften, and your mind can find the kind of calm that welcomes sleep naturally. The practices we'll explore together are like soft lullabies for your entire being, invitations to experience the kind of deep relaxation that makes hypnic jerks feel less startling and sleep feel more accessible. These aren't techniques you need to master or perform perfectly. Instead, think of them as gentle experiments in relaxation, ways of communicating with your body in the language it understands best, the language of breath, of conscious attention, of kind awareness. If you find yourself drifting towards sleep during any of these practices, let that happen naturally. The goal isn't to stay alert through the entire sequence, but rather to create conditions that support whatever level of rest your body needs in this moment. Let's begin with your breath, that most intimate and constant companion that connects you to this moment and this body. Breathing techniques are particularly effective for easing hypnic jerks because they directly influence your autonomic nervous system. the part of your nervous system that controls the transition from wakefulness to sleep. Find a comfortable position, whether you're lying down or sitting gently. There's no need to change anything about your breathing right now. Simply notice how it feels to breathe naturally, without effort or intention. Your breath has been taking care of you all day, all your life, without your conscious attention. For the next few minutes, we'll simply work with this natural rhythm, offering it a gentle pattern that can help your nervous system settle more deeply. The 4-7-8 breathing pattern works by extending your exhales longer than your inhales, which naturally activates the calming branch of your nervous system. The numbers aren't rigid rules, but rather gentle guidelines that help create a rhythm your body can follow. Begin by exhaling completely through your mouth, letting go of any air you've been holding. Now close your mouth and inhale quietly through your nose, while mentally counting to 4. Don't rush this count. Let it unfold at whatever pace feels comfortable and natural for you. Now, hold your breath gently while counting to 7. This isn't a forceful holding, but rather a soft pause, like resting in the space between breathing in and breathing out. If 7 feels too long, you can try a shorter count that feels more comfortable. Finally, exhale completely through your mouth while counting to 8, making a soft whoosh sound as the air leaves your body. This extended exhale is like a long, gentle sigh, releasing not just air but also any tension or holding you might have accumulated. This completes one cycle of 4-7-8 breathing. Continue this pattern for 3 or 4 more cycles, always listening to your body and adjusting the counts if needed to maintain comfort. Some people find that this breathing pattern makes them feel slightly lightheaded at first, which is normal as your body adjusts to the different rhythm. If this happens, simply return to your natural breathing until you feel balanced again. As you practice this technique, you might notice that your heart rate begins to slow, your muscles start to soften, and a sense of calm spreads through your body like warm water. This is your parasympathetic nervous system, the rest and digest response, beginning to take precedence over the more active systems that have been supporting you throughout the day. If the structured counting of the 4-7-8 technique doesn't feel comfortable, or if you'd like to try a different approach, natural breath awareness offers another pathway into relaxation. This practice involves simply observing your breath as it is, without trying to change or control it in any way. Rest comfortably and allow your breathing to find its own natural rhythm. Notice where you feel your breath most clearly, perhaps at your nostrils as air moves in and out, or in your chest as it rises and falls, or in your belly as it gently expands and contracts. There's no right or wrong place to focus. Simply choose whatever location feels most natural and accessible. As you observe your breathing, you might notice that it begins to slow and deepen on its own, without any effort from you. This is your body's natural response to gentle attention and relaxation. Each exhale becomes an opportunity to release a little more tension. Each inhale, a chance to invite in a little more calm. When your mind wanders, and it will, because that's what minds naturally do, simply notice where your attention went and gently guide it back to your breath. There's no need for frustration or self-criticism when you notice your mind has drifted. This gentle returning of attention is actually part of the practice, a way of training your nervous system to find calm and focus, even in the midst of mental activity. Some people find it helpful to use very simple mental phrases that match their breathing rhythm, such as breathing in calm on the inhale and breathing out tension on the exhale. These phrases aren't necessary, but they can provide a gentle anchor for attention if you find your mind particularly active. Progressive muscle relaxation offers another beautiful pathway into the kind of deep relaxation that can make sleep feel more accessible and hypnic jerks less startling. This practice involves systematically tensing and then releasing different muscle groups throughout your body, helping you recognize the difference between tension and relaxation while encouraging your entire muscular system to soften. We'll begin this journey at your feet and gradually work our way up through your body, spending a few moments with each area. The process involves gently tensing each muscle group for about 5 seconds, then releasing the tension completely and noticing the sensation of relaxation that follows. Start by focusing on your feet and toes. Curl your toes downward and tense the muscles in your feet, creating a feeling of tightness and contraction. Hold this tension gently for a count of 5, noticing what it feels like to hold your feet in this contracted state. Now release the tension completely, letting your feet and toes relax entirely. Notice the contrast between the tension you just held and the relaxation you're experiencing now. Let this feeling of release spread through your feet, perhaps noticing a sense of warmth or heaviness as your muscles let go. Move your attention to your calves. Gently flex your feet upward toward your shins while tensing your calf muscles. Again, hold this tension for about 5 seconds, observing the feeling of muscular contraction. Then release, allowing your calves to become completely soft and relaxed. Notice how the relaxation feels different from the tension, perhaps warmer, heavier, or more at ease. Continue this process with your thighs, tensing the large muscles in your upper legs by pressing your knees together or tightening your quadriceps. Hold the tension, then release completely, letting your thighs sink into whatever surface is supporting you. Move to your buttocks, gently clenching these muscles before releasing them into complete softness. Then focus on your abdomen, tensing your stomach muscles as if preparing for someone to gently tap your belly, then releasing into a soft, natural expansion. Progress to your hands and arms. Make gentle fists with your hands while tensing your forearms. Hold for 5 seconds, then release, letting your hands open and your arms become completely relaxed at your sides or wherever feels comfortable. Tense your shoulder muscles by lifting your shoulders up toward your ears, creating a sense of hunched tension. Then let them drop and settle into complete relaxation. Notice how much lower and more comfortable your shoulders feel when they're truly relaxed. Finally, focus on your face and head. Gently scrunch your facial muscles. Close your eyes a bit more tightly. Furrow your brow slightly. Tense your jaw, then release everything, letting your face become soft and peaceful, your jaw slightly open, your forehead smooth. As you complete this journey through your body, take a moment to notice the overall sensation of relaxation. Your entire body has had the opportunity to recognize and release tension, and you might feel a sense of heaviness, warmth, or deep comfort spreading through you. Guided imagery and visualization can be particularly soothing for the nervous system, offering your mind peaceful scenes and sensations that promote relaxation and make the transition to sleep feel more natural. These practices work by engaging your imagination in ways that can influence your physical state, helping to calm both mind and body. Imagine yourself lying on a beach at sunset, feeling the warmth of sand beneath your body. The sand is perfectly warm, not too hot, conforming gently to the shape of your body and providing complete support for every muscle and joint. Feel how the sand seems to cradle you, how it holds you with perfect gentleness, allowing every part of your body to sink into comfort and ease. The air around you is warm and soft, carrying the faint sound of gentle waves in the distance. These waves move in a slow, rhythmic pattern, in and out, like the breathing of the earth itself. You can hear the soft swoosh of water meeting sand, then the gentle retreat, over and over in a pattern that seems to match your own breathing and heartbeat. Above you, the sky is painted in soft colors, gentle oranges and pinks, deep purples and blues, all blending together like watercolors on wet paper. The light is soft and warm on your skin, not bright or harsh, but like a gentle blanket of golden warmth that helps every muscle in your body soften and relax. As you rest in this peaceful scene, you might notice how your breathing naturally slows to match the rhythm of the waves. Each exhale carries away any tension or concern, like the waves carrying sand and shells back to the sea. Each inhale brings in the warm, peaceful air of this safe and beautiful place. If your mind produces any thoughts about the day or concerns about tomorrow, imagine these thoughts as clouds drifting across the peaceful sky above you, present but temporary, moving through your awareness without needing your attention or energy. You can simply observe them pass by, returning your focus to the warmth of the sand, the sound of the waves, and the feeling of complete safety and relaxation. Allow yourself to sink deeper into this peaceful scene, feeling how the combination of warmth, gentle sounds, and soft support creates the perfect conditions for rest. Your entire nervous system is receiving the message that you are safe, supported, and free to let go into the deep relaxation that prepares the way for restorative sleep. As we near the end of our relaxation journey together, let's explore a practice that can be particularly helpful for working with hypnic jerks when they occur: mindful acceptance. This approach involves developing a different relationship with these sleep onset twitches, one based on curiosity and acceptance rather than resistance or concern. Rest comfortably and bring your attention to your body as it is right now. Notice any sensations that are present, perhaps warmth or coolness, heaviness or lightness, tension or relaxation. There's no need to change anything about what you're experiencing. Simply observe your body with the same gentle curiosity you might bring to watching clouds move across the sky. Now imagine that if a hypnic jerk were to occur right now, you could greet it like an old friend making a brief visit. Instead of tensing against it or feeling startled, you might think something like, "Oh, there's that familiar feeling. My nervous system is settling into sleep mode." This shift in perspective, from seeing hypnic jerks as interruptions to recognizing them as natural parts of your body's sleep preparation process, can significantly change how they feel. Practice observing any sensations in your body with this same gentle, non-judgmental awareness. If you notice areas of tension, you don't need to fix or change them. Simply acknowledge them with kindness. If you feel areas of relaxation and comfort, receive these sensations with gratitude. Your body is constantly providing you with information about its state and needs, and learning to listen with acceptance rather than criticism creates a foundation for deeper rest. This mindful acceptance can extend beyond physical sensations to thoughts and emotions as well. As you rest here, you might notice thoughts about the day, concerns about tomorrow, or simply the random mental chatter that often accompanies relaxation. Instead of engaging with these thoughts or trying to push them away, Practice observing them with the same gentle curiosity you bring to physical sensations, present but temporary, part of the natural flow of mental activity. If a hypnic jerk does occur as you're falling asleep tonight or in the nights to come, try greeting it with this same accepting awareness. You might think there's my body's way of settling into sleep, or my nervous system is doing its nightly dance, or simply, how interesting, I wonder if sleep is close now. This curious, accepting attitude often makes hypnic jerks feel less disruptive and sleep feel more accessible. As we complete this gentle suite of relaxation practices, take a moment to notice how your body feels now compared to when we began. You might observe changes in your breathing, shifts in muscle tension, or an overall sense of greater calm and ease. These changes reflect your nervous system's natural response to gentle attention and relaxation, evidence of your body's innate wisdom and capacity for rest. You can use any of these practices individually or combine them in ways that feel supportive and comfortable. Some nights, you might find that just a few minutes of gentle breathing is all you need. Other evenings, you might enjoy the full journey through progressive muscle relaxation or spend time in peaceful imagery. Trust your body's wisdom to guide you toward whatever level of practice feels right for each particular night. Remember that these tools are always available to you. Your breath, your ability to soften your muscles, your capacity for peaceful imagery, and your natural capacity for accepting awareness. They require no special equipment or perfect conditions. They travel with you wherever you go and are always accessible when you need them. Now let's deeper into this quiet exploration. Let me share some gentle stories of science, soft lullabies of understanding that reveal the beautiful orchestration happening within you each night. These aren't complex theories demanding your attention, but rather peaceful glimpses into the wisdom your body carries, the kind of knowledge that soothes rather than stimulates. Have you ever noticed how your heartbeat changes as you prepare for sleep? Throughout your busy day, your heart has been responding to every demand, quickening when you hurry upstairs, steadying when you focus on work, adapting moment by moment to support whatever your life requires. But as evening arrives and you begin to settle, something beautiful begins to happen. Your heart doesn't simply slow down. It begins to play a different kind of music entirely, like a symphony transitioning from the bright, energetic movements of daytime to the gentle, flowing passages of night. Your cardiovascular system shifts into what researchers call its circadian rest phase. Your heart rate decreases gradually, your blood pressure softens, and the very rhythm of circulation becomes more like a lullaby than a march. This transition is guided by your vagus nerve, a wandering pathway that connects your brain to your heart, like a gentle conductor's baton. As your nervous system recognizes the approaching night, the vagus nerve sends soft signals that help your heart find its nighttime rhythm. It's during this beautiful transition that hypnic jerks sometimes occur, those brief moments when one section of your body's orchestra plays an unexpected note before settling into the evening's peaceful melody. Isn't it remarkable how your body performs this nightly symphony without you ever asking it to? How it knows to slow your heart, deepen your breath, and prepare every system for the restoration that sleep provides. Your muscles carry their own quiet wisdom about rest and restoration. Throughout each day, they maintain what scientists call muscle tone, a gentle, constant tension that keeps you upright, ready to move, prepared to respond. This isn't the obvious tension of lifting or running, but rather the subtle background hum of readiness that allows you to sit straight in a chair, hold your head up, or reach for a glass of water without thinking. As sleep approaches, your muscles begin a gradual ceremony of release. Starting with the largest muscle groups and moving toward the smallest, they begin to let go of the day's holding patterns. Your shoulders might drop slightly, your jaw might soften, your hands might uncurl from positions they've maintained without your conscious awareness. This releasing happens in gentle waves, like a field of wheat gradually settling as an evening breeze moves through it. Usually this process unfolds smoothly and quietly, but occasionally, like wheat stalks that rustle unexpectedly in a calm wind, a muscle group might twitch or contract briefly before continuing its journey toward rest. These moments aren't mistakes or malfunctions. They're simply part of the natural variation in how your muscles navigate the beautiful transition from day's alertness to night's restoration. Each muscle has its own timing, its own way of releasing the patterns of tension it has held. And sometimes that release includes a gentle flutter or jerk before settling into peaceful rest. Perhaps you've noticed how your own muscles feel as we've been talking together, how your shoulders have perhaps dropped, how your breathing has naturally deepened, how your body is already beginning its nightly preparation for sleep. Deep within your skull, a remarkable transition is taking place every night, a changing of the guard between the neural networks that support wakefulness and those that support sleep. Picture this process like a vast, quiet office building at the end of a workday, where different departments begin to close down in a carefully coordinated sequence. Your frontal cortex, the area responsible for planning and decision-making, begins to reduce its activity. Like managers turning off their office lights and heading home, these regions start to stand down from their daytime vigilance. The result is that your thoughts become less focused, less directed. They begin to wander and drift like leaves floating on a gentle stream. Meanwhile, your thalamus, which acts like the building's main switchboard throughout the day, begins to filter the incoming calls. Sounds become less distinct. Your awareness of temperature and touch begins to fade, and the bright sensory world of day starts to dim. This isn't a sudden shutdown, but a gradual transition, like dimming lights rather than flipping switches. As these wake-promoting systems dial down their activity, other networks begin to emerge from the background. Deep brain regions start releasing chemicals that encourage drowsiness. Your brainstem initiates the processes that will protect your breathing and heart rate during sleep. And the glymphatic system, your brain's nighttime cleaning crew, begins to prepare for its important work of clearing away the metabolic byproducts that accumulated during your active day. It's during this elegant handoff between different neural systems that hypnic jerks sometimes occur. Like any complex transition, there can be brief moments when signals cross paths unexpectedly, when one system is winding down while another is ramping up. These moments aren't signs of confusion or malfunction. They're evidence of the sophisticated choreography required to shift your entire nervous system from one mode of operation to another. Hidden within your modern life, you carry the echo of ancient rhythms, circadian patterns that have guided human sleep for thousands of generations. Your ancestors slept under star-filled skies, their rest guided by the same internal clock that now guides yours, their bodies responding to the same neurochemical changes that prepare you for sleep each night. This ancient wisdom manifests in countless ways as evening approaches. Your core body temperature begins to drop slightly, just as it did for humans long before electric lighting or heated homes. Your levels of melatonin begin to rise, responding to the deepening darkness in the same way they did for people who slept by firelight. and your nervous system begins the same complex preparation for rest that has served humanity since we first began sleeping under the protection of caves and trees. Hypnic jerks may be part of this ancient inheritance. Some researchers suggest they might be echoes of a time when humans slept in more precarious locations, high places where a final alertness check before complete relaxation could be protective. While we can't know for certain whether this evolutionary explanation is accurate, there's something beautiful about the possibility that your sleep twitches connect you to countless generations of human sleepers. What we do know is that the same systems producing your hypnic jerks have been successfully guiding human sleep for millennia. The neural networks involved, the neurotransmitters that facilitate the transition, the muscle relaxation patterns that prepare you for rest. All of these have been tested and refined through countless generations of peaceful, restorative sleep. You are part of an unbroken chain of successful sleepers, carrying within your nervous system the accumulated wisdom of human rest. Each night, as you settle into sleep, you're participating in one of the most fundamental and ancient human experiences, the daily return to restoration and dreams. For those who find the details as soothing as the mystery itself, let's wander a little deeper into the beautiful complexity of what happens when your body prepares for sleep. Think of this as a quiet stroll through the landscape of your nervous system at twilight. Not a demanding hike that requires your full attention, but a peaceful walk that reveals gentle wonders along the way. Your motor neurons, the specialized cells that carry movement messages from your brain to your muscles, are like skilled postal workers delivering signals precisely where they need to go. During wakefulness, these neurons maintain a careful balance. They're ready to spring into action when needed, but they're also held in check by inhibitory signals that prevent random, unwanted movements. This system works through what scientists call upper motor neurons and lower motor neurons, two parts of an elegant relay system. The upper motor neurons, located in your motor cortex, make decisions about movement and send signals down through your spinal cord. The lower motor neurons, living in your spinal cord and brainstem, receive these signals and deliver them directly to your muscles. During the transition to sleep, both levels of this system begin to change their operating patterns. The upper motor neurons reduce their activity as consciousness fades. Meanwhile, the lower motor neurons prepare to implement the muscle inhibition that will prevent you from acting out your dreams during deeper sleep stages. But this transition isn't always perfectly smooth. Sometimes, as the upper motor neurons are winding down their activity, a final signal gets sent at an unexpected moment. Or occasionally, as the lower motor neurons are adjusting their sensitivity in preparation for sleep, they might misinterpret a normal signal as a command for movement. When this happens, you experience a hypnic jerk, not because anything is malfunctioning, but because you're witnessing the brief moment when your motor system is switching from one operational mode to another. It's like watching a skilled dancer change from one rhythm to another, usually graceful, but occasionally including a small adjustment step that's part of finding the new pattern. Deep in your brainstem, an area called the reticular formation acts as a master coordinator for sleep and wakefulness. This network of neurons, no larger than your thumb, influences everything from your level of consciousness to your muscle tone to your breathing patterns during sleep. The reticular formation contains both sleep-promoting and wake-promoting regions, and the balance between these areas determines whether you feel alert or drowsy. As evening approaches, the sleep-promoting areas gradually gain influence, while the wake-promoting regions begin to quiet their activity. This transition involves multiple neurotransmitters, brain chemicals that carry messages between neurons. GABA, the brain's primary calming neurotransmitter, begins to increase its influence. Adenosine, which accumulates during wakefulness and promotes sleepiness, reaches higher levels. Meanwhile, wakeful neurotransmitters like norepinephrine and dopamine begin to decrease their activity. Within this complex chemical symphony, hypnic jerks represent moments when the transition isn't perfectly synchronized across all systems. Perhaps the motor-controlling regions of the reticular formation are adjusting their activity at a slightly different rate than the consciousness-controlling regions. This can create brief windows where a movement signal gets through, even as awareness is fading. What's remarkable about this system is how reliably it works, night after night. The reticular formation successfully orchestrates the transition from wake to sleep thousands of times throughout your life, with hypnic jerks representing only occasional variations in an otherwise remarkably consistent process. One of the most elegant aspects of your sleep neurology involves what researchers call gating mechanisms, neural systems that act like careful gatekeepers controlling which signals get through and which are blocked depending on your state of consciousness. During wakefulness, these gates are open to motor signals, allowing you to move freely and respond quickly to your environment. But as sleep approaches, the gates begin to close gradually, eventually blocking most movement signals to prevent you from acting out your dreams during REM sleep. This gating process involves multiple brain regions working in coordination. The pons, a brainstem structure, plays a key role in inhibiting motor neurons during REM sleep. The thalamus helps filter sensory information, reducing the likelihood that external sounds or sensations will trigger movement responses, and various spinal cord mechanisms help implement the muscle relaxation that characterizes deeper sleep stages. Hypnic jerks may occur during the period when these gates are in the process of closing, but haven't yet reached their fully restrictive position. A motor signal that would normally be filtered out during deep sleep, or that would be consciously controlled during full wakefulness, might briefly slip through during this transitional period. This gating system is so sophisticated that it normally prevents any significant movement during sleep, while still maintaining your ability to respond to truly important stimuli, like a smoke alarm or someone calling your name urgently. The fact that hypnic jerks represent only minor, brief interruptions in this system speaks to how refined and reliable these mechanisms truly are. Just as no two people have exactly the same fingerprints, no two nervous systems are identical in their architecture and function. These individual differences help explain why hypnic jerks vary so much from person to person in frequency, intensity, and character. Some people have motor neurons that are naturally more excitable, while others have neurons that tend toward calmer baseline activity. Some individuals have particularly efficient inhibitory systems that quickly quiet neural activity during sleep transition, while others may have systems that take longer to implement full sleep-related inhibition. These variations aren't better or worse. They're simply different expressions of human neurology. Someone who experiences frequent hypnic jerks isn't less skilled at sleeping than someone who rarely experiences them. They're just expressing a different variation in how their particular nervous system navigates the transition to rest. Research has also revealed fascinating individual differences in sleep architecture, the pattern of sleep stages that people cycle through during the night. Some people spend more time in the lighter stages of sleep, where hypnic jerks are most likely to occur. while others transition more quickly into deeper sleep stages where these movements are less common. Even the neurotransmitter systems that influence sleep show individual variation. Some people naturally produce higher levels of GABA, the brain's calming chemical, while others may have variations in adenosine sensitivity or melatonin production patterns. All of these differences can influence how smoothly the transition to sleep unfolds and how likely hypnic jerks are to occur. Sleep science continues to evolve, with researchers developing increasingly sophisticated tools for understanding the mechanisms behind hypnic jerks and other sleep phenomena. Modern sleep laboratories use high-density EEG systems that can monitor brain activity from dozens of locations simultaneously, providing detailed pictures of how different brain regions coordinate during sleep transitions. Current research is exploring questions like, why do some people experience hypnic jerks primarily in their legs while others feel them in their arms or torso? How do factors like age, hormonal changes, and overall health influence the neural mechanisms that produce these movements? And what can the study of hypnic jerks teach us about the broader processes of sleep initiation and maintenance? Some fascinating recent discoveries have revealed that the brain regions involved in hypnic jerks also play roles in other sleep-related phenomena, such as sleep talking, sleepwalking, and the vivid imagery that occurs during hypnagogic states. This suggests that hypnic jerks are part of a broader family of sleep transition phenomena, all reflecting the complex neural reorganization that occurs as consciousness gives way to sleep. Researchers are also investigating how modern lifestyle factors, from screen time to caffeine consumption to exercise patterns, might influence the neural mechanisms that produce hypnic jerks. While the basic physiology of sleep has remained consistent throughout human history, our contemporary environment presents new variables that scientists are still working to understand. With this understanding, it's time to clear away a few gentle misunderstandings that sometimes surround hypnic jerks. Like morning mist that dissipates in warm sunlight, these misconceptions often fade naturally when met with accurate, reassuring information. Let's address these myths with the same kindness and curiosity we've brought to our entire exploration. Hypnic jerks are a type of seizure. This understandable concern arises because both hypnic jerks and seizures involve sudden involuntary muscle movements. However, the similarities end there, and understanding the differences can provide tremendous peace of mind. Seizures involve abnormal, excessive electrical activity that spreads across the brain in patterns that can be detected on EEG recordings. They typically last longer than hypnic jerks, may involve loss of consciousness or confusion, and often occur during full wakefulness or established sleep, rather than specifically at sleep onset. Hypnic jerks, in contrast, show up on brainwave recordings as brief, isolated events that occur precisely during the normal transition from wake to sleep. They don't involve the spreading electrical activity characteristic of seizures, and they leave you completely alert and oriented afterward. The brainwave patterns associated with hypnic jerks are consistent with normal sleep onset rather than seizure activity. Most importantly, hypnic jerks don't carry any of the serious implications that seizures might. They don't increase your risk for developing epilepsy, they don't indicate underlying brain abnormalities, and they don't require the medical monitoring or treatment that seizure disorders might necessitate. Sleep specialists and neurologists are trained to distinguish between these different types of movements, and they consistently classify hypnic jerks as benign sleep phenomena rather than seizure-related activity. They're signs from the spirit world. Many cultures have developed beautiful, meaningful interpretations of hypnic jerks that place them in spiritual or supernatural contexts. Some traditions view them as moments when the soul briefly returns to the body after beginning to travel in dreams. Others see them as protective spirits adjusting your position for optimal rest, or as evidence of your connection to other realms of existence. These interpretations often reflect deep cultural wisdom about the mystery and significance of sleep, and they can provide comfort and meaning for those who find them resonant. There's something beautiful about viewing hypnic jerks as part of a larger spiritual narrative about rest, dreams, and the nightly journey of consciousness. From a scientific perspective, however, hypnic jerks arise from the natural physical processes we've been exploring together. The neural misfiring that occurs as your brain transitions between different modes of operation. Understanding the physiological mechanisms doesn't diminish the personal meaning these experiences might hold for you, but it can provide reassurance that they don't require spiritual intervention or indicate supernatural concerns. Both perspectives can coexist peacefully. You might find scientific understanding intellectually satisfying, while also appreciating the poetic or spiritual significance these experiences hold in your life. The physical and the meaningful need not be mutually exclusive. Everyone experiences them the same way. This misconception can create unnecessary concern when your hypnic jerks don't match descriptions you've heard from others. In reality, the variation in how people experience hypnic jerks is remarkably broad, and this diversity is completely normal and expected. Some people experience them primarily as physical sensations, brief muscle twitches with little accompanying mental imagery. Others find them deeply connected to vivid hypnagogic dreams or falling sensations. Some feel them mainly in specific body parts, while others experience full-body jolts. The timing varies too. Most people experience hypnic jerks within the first few minutes of sleep onset, but some notice them earlier in the relaxation process, while others encounter them deeper into the transition towards sleep. The frequency can range from nightly occurrences to events that happen only occasionally over months or years. Even the emotional response to hypnic jerks varies significantly. Some people find them mildly annoying, others barely notice them, and still others have learned to see them as interesting phenomena or even comforting signs that sleep is approaching. None of these responses is more correct than the others. They simply reflect individual differences in perception and interpretation. This variability reflects the beautiful diversity of human neurology. Your particular pattern of hypnic jerks is as individual as your voice, your gait, or your way of thinking, a unique expression of your nervous system's approach to the transition between wakefulness and sleep. They always get worse with age. While some people do notice changes in their hypnic jerks as they age, the pattern isn't consistent or predictable enough to constitute a universal rule. Sleep patterns do evolve throughout the lifespan, but these changes don't necessarily mean that hypnic jerks become more problematic or concerning over time. Some older adults report that their hypnic jerks become gentler or less frequent as they age, possibly related to changes in sleep architecture that come with maturity. Others notice little change in their pattern over decades. Still others might experience periods of increased frequency during times of life, stress, illness, or medication changes, followed by return to their typical patterns. The key insight is that hypnic jerks remain benign regardless of age. An 80-year-old experiencing hypnic jerks is encountering the same harmless phenomenon as a 20-year-old, even if the particular characteristics of those jerks might have evolved over time. Age-related changes in sleep often reflect broader changes in health, lifestyle, medications, or stress levels rather than problems with the sleep process itself. If hypnic jerks do become more noticeable with age, it's often worth exploring these broader factors rather than focusing on the jerks themselves as problematic. They indicate serious health problems. This concern probably causes more unnecessary worry than any other misconception about hypnic jerks. The fear that these movements might signal heart problems, neurological diseases, or other serious conditions can create anxiety that actually makes sleep more difficult and hypnic jerks more likely. Research consistently demonstrates that hypnic jerks are not associated with increased risk for serious health conditions. They don't indicate heart disease, neurological disorders, or psychological problems. They don't predict future health issues or suggest that your nervous system is deteriorating. In fact, the systems that produce hypnic jerks are the same systems that successfully guide you into restorative sleep night after night. Their occasional brief misfiring is more like a car that occasionally backfires while starting. Noticeable, but not indicative of serious mechanical problems. The medical literature treats hypnic jerks as variants of normal sleep physiology rather than pathological conditions requiring treatment or investigation. When sleep specialists encounter patients concerned about hypnic jerks, they typically provide education and reassurance rather than ordering tests or treatments. This isn't to say that you shouldn't discuss persistent concerns with healthcare providers. Rather, it's to emphasize that hypnic jerks themselves are not red flags for serious illness, and understanding this can help reduce the anxiety that sometimes makes sleep difficulties worse. And now, we are in the final moments of tonight's journey. Let's drift together toward rest. We've wandered through the gentle landscape of hypnic jerks, discovering not something to fear or fix, but rather one of the beautiful expressions of your body's nightly wisdom. Like everything else we've explored, this closing is an invitation rather than a destination, a soft transition into whatever level of rest feels right for you in this moment. Take a moment to notice how your understanding of hypnic jerks might have shifted during our time together. Perhaps these sleep edge twitches feel less mysterious now, more familiar, more clearly part of the normal human experience of transitioning from day to night. Maybe you've discovered that what once felt startling or concerning now seems like evidence of your nervous system's sophisticated work of preparing for sleep. This shift in perspective, from seeing hypnic jerks as interruptions to recognizing them as natural parts of sleep onset, can profoundly change how they feel when they occur. Instead of tensing against them, you might find yourself greeting them with gentle curiosity. Ah, there's my nervous system settling into sleep mode. You now carry with you the knowledge that millions of people around the world share this experience, that it connects you to the fundamental human pattern of rest and restoration, and that it represents not a malfunction, but a variation in the elegant process by which consciousness gives way to sleep. As your body settles more deeply, let these truths rest gently in your awareness. Your hypnic jerks are completely normal expressions of your nervous system's nightly transition to sleep. They connect you to millions of other humans who experience these same gentle twitches as they drift toward rest. They are not signs of illness or dysfunction, but rather evidence of the sophisticated processes that guide you safely into restorative sleep. Your body knows exactly how to sleep. The same systems that occasionally produce hypnic jerks are the systems that successfully provide you with rest and restoration night after night throughout your life. You can trust this ancient wisdom, this neurological inheritance that has served humans for countless generations. If a hypnic jerk occurs as you fall asleep tonight, you can greet it as an old friend, a familiar part of your body's way of settling into rest. There's no need for alarm or resistance, only gentle acknowledgement of this normal variation in your sleep onset process. Your sleep is safe. Your transition from wakefulness to rest is guided by systems that have been refined through millions of years of evolution. You can release into sleep with confidence, knowing that your body will care for you throughout the night. Notice how your breathing has perhaps changed as we've talked together. Has it become deeper, slower, more rhythmical? This is your parasympathetic nervous system, the rest and restore branch of your autonomic nervous system, beginning to take precedence over the more active systems that supported you throughout the day. Feel how your muscles might have softened during our exploration. Your shoulders may have dropped, your jaw may have relaxed, your hands may have uncurled from positions they held without your conscious awareness. This gentle releasing is your body's way of preparing for the deep restoration that sleep provides. If thoughts about tomorrow or concerns from today arise in your awareness, you can acknowledge them gently and then let them drift past like clouds moving across a peaceful sky. They don't require your attention or energy right now. This is time for rest, for letting go, for trusting in your body's natural wisdom. Your heartbeat may have slowed, your breathing may have deepened, and the boundaries between your inner awareness and the outer world may be beginning to soften. These are all signs that your nervous system is doing exactly what it's designed to do: guide you safely into the restorative state of sleep. Let's end with your breath, that most intimate companion that connects you to this moment and this body. There's no need to control or change your breathing. Simply allow it to find its own natural rhythm as you settle towards sleep. Notice how each exhale carries away a little more of the day's holding, each inhale bringing in calm and peace. Your breath has been taking care of you all day, all your life, without your conscious attention. You can trust it to continue this care as you drift towards sleep. If a hypnic jerk occurs as you're falling asleep, you might imagine breathing gently through it, neither fighting it nor focusing too intensely on it, simply allowing it to be part of your body's natural process of settling into rest. Let your breathing be like gentle waves on a calm shore, regular, soothing, carrying you deeper into relaxation with each soft rise and fall. There's nothing you need to do, nowhere you need to go, nothing you need to figure out or fix. This is simply time for rest. As consciousness begins to fade, as your thoughts become more dreamlike and less directed, as the day releases its hold on your attention, know that you are exactly where you need to be. Your body is preparing for the restoration and healing that occurs during sleep. Your mind is allowing itself the rest it needs. The hypnic jerks we've explored together, should they occur, are simply part of this natural process. Brief notes in the lullaby your nervous system plays as it guides you from wakefulness to sleep. You can rest easy knowing that they represent not disturbance, but rather evidence of your body's sophisticated wisdom in action. Let yourself drift now, carried by your breath, supported by your understanding, surrounded by the safety and normalcy of this most fundamental human experience. Your sleep is natural, your rest is deserved, and your body knows exactly how to care for you through the peaceful hours ahead. Sleep well, dear friend. Sleep gently. Sleep with the knowledge that you're experiencing one of the most beautiful processes your body performs: the nightly return to restoration, dreams, and the deep rest that prepares you for tomorrow's possibilities.